Hello everybody, welcome back to another coffee chat with SJ video. I have my espresso here with you. I'm gonna go ahead and give it a good stir. And we're gonna talk mindful social media consumption today. Let's get started. Before we hop into today's video, I want to hear from you. What is one thing that you have done in your social media consumption that has made it feel much healthier in the long run? Let me know in the comments below. I have kind of like my breakdown of what I want to talk about, but we're gonna ramble on. We're just gonna see how this goes. One of the major shifts that I've made in my life in the last few years when it comes to being a business owner who does most of her work online is how can I interact with social media in an intentional and mindful way. And I've really summed up kind of a little recipe for myself that tends to work, and I wanted to share that with you, but I also wanted to share some of the changes that I've made over time. With any kind of routine like this or change in my life that I've made, almost always it has happened one tiny nugget at a time. So, you start with one little thing. Once that becomes your new normal, then you add on another new thing. So don't expect yourself to create the exact situation that I'm running with right now, but maybe bring in one of these things, one of these tips into your life after the video is over. So the very first thing that I do when it comes to mindful consumption of social media is simply to notice, to pay attention in different seasons of my life. How do I feel when I get off? When I have been scrolling through Instagram for a while, what's the result of that? And not just emotionally, but also physically. Are my shoulders tight? Have I been sitting like this? Am I thirsty? How much time has passed? Do I feel like I'm a little bit behind? Usually for me, when I'm paying attention, when I kind of notice that I've been on social media more than I would like to, it usually feels like this. My shoulders are tense, like my shoulder blades are tight. I feel a little bit anxious, like I need to be moving faster than I actually need to be moving. Like I feel rushed. I feel like I need to catch up with something or someone or someplace. And that's kind of like an energetic thing for me. Like I'm like inside of my body, like running, even though there's nowhere to run to. Like I actually could be moving at a slower pace, but I feel like I need to be going faster. Maybe, in the past, I would maybe feel a little bit icky about my body. I'll talk to you in a minute about why that's not so much the case anymore. But, these are kind of the things that show up. And really listen to that and ask yourself, like, do I like this feeling? Is this how I want to feel? The reason that this is important is because we can start to notice a couple of things. We can notice what media feeds us, what media sucks us dry. We can notice what times of the day that media isn't serving us, or what times of the day it actually gives us energy. So for example, again, I'll talk more about this later, but I like to watch YouTube while I clean, and usually it gives me more energy. But if I'm watching YouTube like all morning while I'm getting ready, all morning while I'm cooking breakfast, which I enjoy doing, but typically on the days that I do that, I find myself having a little bit lower energy. I feel a little bit more foggy and a little less creative. Like I don't feel as inspired or creative. And another thing that you can start to notice is how you're feeling in general in your life. When I'm noticing that I don't feel inspired, I don't feel creative, I don't have a clear vision for my future, one of the very first things I ask myself is, when's the last time you took time off of social media? When's the last time you got good and bored? Because for me, that's the first thing to go, is just drive, inspiration, excitement about my own ideas and my own thoughts. And that's because I'm filling my brain, I'm filling all of my energy and all my free time with someone else's ideas, someone else's thoughts. There's no blank space for me to come up with new ideas, for me to feel inspired or creative. So that's number one. Number two, unfollow people who make you feel icky. If they make you feel icky about the world, about yourself, about society, whatever it is, like if you need to protect your mental space. And here's the thing, you guys, we're spending a lot of time on our phones. Let's see, right now it is 2:50 p.m. and I have spent 4 hours on my phone today. 5 hours, it just reloaded. That's a lot of my day. And granted, this is my job and it's a heavy Instagram day for me, but that's a lot. That's the majority of my day. And so I think it's important to really remember that that's what we're feeding our brains. If you've ever heard the concept of like the people you spend the most time with, the 5 people you're the closest to, who you spend most of your time with, that's who you become. It's like that, but like amped up tenfold, because not only are these the people like you're spending most of your time with, we're spending more time with these people than we get to spend with our closest friends, especially this year, right? Like we're inundating ourselves with all of these ideas, all of this information, all of this visual input. That is who we will become, and it's who we will compare ourselves to. So I make sure that I don't follow anyone who promotes diet culture. I don't follow anyone who promotes like blatant luxury in terms of like just blatant consumerism. Like I don't, private jets, all of that, like it's just not for me. It doesn't put me in a good headspace. I don't really follow very many political things. I follow the Majority Report, and that's about it. I don't watch their YouTube videos, but I do listen to the AM Quickie that they do, and I do follow them on Instagram. And I limit my access to these things because, again, it's like this is my mental health we're talking about. Like I don't want to take it lightly. I do follow a lot of activist accounts, but that's because that makes me who I want to be, which again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. We'll go deeper into that, but that's who I do want to be following. I don't follow I don't follow Trump supporters, especially not like blatant Trump supporters, just not here for it. In fact, I've gone as deep as going into his account, seeing who I follow who is like a secret supporter, and unfollowing those people because I don't want to give them my money. I'm pretty upfront about that. Yeah, so I don't follow diet culture. I don't follow politics that make me angry. I don't follow luxury people. I don't follow law of attraction people because I personally like do some of the practices of law of attraction, but I believe it is so ignorant of systemic oppression that it enrages me. So I don't follow that. My feed, its intention, its whole existence is curated to nurture who I want to be in the world. I want to be someone who is active in the needs of people who are oppressed. I want to be someone who shares kindness and love. I want to be someone who loves myself, likes my body. So those are the kind of accounts I'm going to follow. I'm going to follow the doctors who speak out about health at every size. I'm going to follow nutritionists who do the same. I'm not going to follow people who don't do that. And this gives me the opportunity to make sure that I'm feeding myself the things that nurture me and not the things that bring in anger, shame, unnecessary kind of contrived emotions. Because here's the thing, like these negative emotions aren't bad. It's not bad to be angry at the system that isn't serving most of us. It's not bad to be around people who think differently than you. It's not bad for there to be different kinds of body types in the world, of course. It's not bad to have money, obviously, but I'm in charge of how I entertain myself, and I'm gonna choose to give the energy that I have for that difference of opinion, different life experiences. I'm gonna give that energy to human beings, not to just consuming their social media content, right? Like I'd rather be able to meet you person to person and show you love and listen to you, hear your perspective, give you, grounded opinions about why maybe I think differently, and love you in that moment, then to just consuming so much of the stuff that just like fills me with rage that when I meet a human, I have no compassion left to give because I've just exhausted myself with all of the things that make me angry about this idea, and I've been able to do it detached from humanness. Correct? So unfollow all of the people who make you feel icky. All right, 3 is make sure you have representation in your feeds. And I mean this in a couple of ways. First of all, when I wrote this, I was thinking more about representation of people who look like you. So in the fat acceptance journey, following bigger bodies, in your acceptance of yourself, that was kind of where I thought about it. As I kept going, I really feel like it's important not just for that, but also just for different types of people in general, to open up our normalizing of different types of humans. Here's where things get a little sticky, because I mean people who are who they are because they were born as they are. You know, people of color, larger bodies. I follow people of different religions. I follow people who are, you know, who have different skin tones than me, different religious backgrounds than me. And here's the thing, I don't apply this to political, obviously we've talked about this before, I don't apply this to your politics. And that's because, you know, I'm a firm believer that our politics are a choice and our politics impact human beings and they do harm. And if you are choosing a morality that is, to me, grossly upsetting, then I'm not gonna subscribe to that, right? Like, it's not my job to like make you comfortable with your bad choices. But what I will do is I want every type of person to feel normal to me, right? And I think I know this from a person who has like more fat on my body than others, that seeing someone in, you know, seeing more people who look like me in media, in my social media feeds, makes me love my body more and makes me love their bodies more. It feels more normal. And it's the same thing when we put a Black woman in the leading role of a film and we don't make it a caricature. Like, that's important work, right? This is important stuff. And it's the same thing in our own feeds. You know, making sure that you have people of color in your feed who you can look at, who you can learn from, who normalize like this like whole world that oftentimes we isolate, we're so separated from, normalizing that so that when you have an opportunity, you're not just looking at your like very small pool of like thin white women that you're reaching out to, right? Like you have access to all kinds of insight from all kinds of people. That can heal so much internalized hatred, and it can heal so much lack of representation in other areas. So have a representative feed. This is how we can be mindful in our consumption, right? Like, if I'm gonna consume, I wanna make sure that I'm consuming from all kinds of people. Not necessarily all kinds of political beliefs. I don't think that's our job, but all kinds of human beings. All right, fourth, take time off. So the ways that I take time off, oftentimes I delete the apps. I usually delete Instagram on the weekends so that I just don't go in there. And then I usually do once a quarter, I try to do a full week off of social media altogether. Like screens in general, like no YouTube, no TV, no nothing. And this just gives me an opportunity to be like, what does my brain do when it's not entertained constantly? And I think that's a really big gift that I can give myself once a quarter. If you have the opportunity to do that, which if I do, pretty sure you do too, because I have, what, 3 Instagram accounts, a YouTube and a podcast and a Patreon, and you know, if I can do it, you probably can do it. But giving that to myself has increased my creativity tenfold. I read 7 books one week. I started writing a book of my own in that 1 week, just 1 week off of social media, because that energy of constant consumption gets to go away. So not only is our mindful consumption about what we do when we're on it, but also how much time we are able to take off of it. I'm not saying you need to like not open your phone until 10 a.m. in the morning. I don't do that, but if that works for you, great, do it, awesome. That doesn't work for me. And you know, everybody's gonna have like a different rhythm, but just give yourself some time off. Make sure that the time that you take off is intentional, that you're doing it on purpose. I'm gonna take a sip of coffee and we'll get into our last point. Okay, finally, you can use social media intentionally to positively brainwash yourself. I talk about this a decent amount, and maybe we've talked about it on the channel before, but I wouldn't be able to talk about mindful social media consumption without touching on this particular point. So what I mean by that is, if you are struggling to accept that larger bodies are good bodies, follow people who have larger bodies. See them experience joy, fall in love with the way they look. If you're having a hard time accepting that like you can be healthy at any size, follow doctors and nutritionists who speak that into your life to remind you like this is normal, you know, this exists. The same way that we can do that is kind of what I touched on a little bit ago with, you know, if I want to be more socially active, then I'm gonna follow people who are taking a stand, who are protesting, who are speaking up for the rights of the oppressed, I'm going to follow those people because that's going to impact me. That's going to make me more likely to take action on the things that I believe in. And finally, on like a very superficial level, like it just sometimes can give you the energy you need. So the way that I do this is if there's a day that I want to get a lot of cleaning done around the house, but for whatever reason the energy levels are just not there, I will watch like other people's cleaning videos on YouTube and just kind of get the energy going. I know a lot of you guys use my videos like that. Just kind of get the energy going and make me feel like, oh, I can do this. I can do another day. When I was grieving, or am still, you know, as I grieve my dad, I need more and more inspiration and motivation just to do life, just to like wake up in the morning and make my breakfast. So I will watch like vegan breakfast recipes on YouTube, and I'm not vegan, but like I like vegan food. So I watch these videos and it gives me inspiration to feel like, oh yeah, all I have to do is put some kale in a pan, put some chickpeas in it, you know, or crack an egg in there. It's not vegan, but like crack an egg in there, and it's that simple, but it feels so hard in my brain when I'm in bed and it's cozy, or I'm ready to just get out the door and go to work. I want to slow myself down and really just embrace my life. Then there are these, you know, I can use social media to do that, to inspire me to take the action I want to take. And I think that's why a lot of us get caught up in the diet culture world of social media, right? Is we think that if I follow all of these like fat shaming accounts or all of these accounts that promote diet culture, then like maybe I'll get skinny by proxy. And I want to like specifically touch on that because the reason that doesn't work for us, and the reason that I don't recommend that, is because they're not promoting health to you, they're promoting shame to you. They're promoting restriction and control and things that are just so temporary to hold on to, that it's really, really hard to maintain, and it debilitates your mental health, right? But if you want to positively brainwash yourself, then I recommend treating the actions you want to take, not the body you want to have. So if you are like, I want to eat healthier, follow nutritionists who share what they eat in a day. If you want to work out more, follow like body positive people who are sharing their workouts. Do that. Don't focus on like trimming down. Notice as well if you hear things like, if I do a workout video and there's, you know, trigger words for me, I note that and I tell YouTube I'm not interested in this account anymore. And that means like if you're like burning fat, you know, I can feel your waistline shrinking now, like that kind of stuff. Like, no, not allowed in my brain, not allowed to hear. I want to hear about getting stronger, increasing mobility, flexibility, increasing my endurance. That keep that coming to me. But if you start talking about shrinking, trimming, burning fat, that's, you know, for me, that's my personal line that I draw because of my self-acceptance journey. So all of that to say, you know, be in control of your content, unfollow the things that don't serve you, take the time off that you need to take off, bring in the accounts that speak well into you, that show representation of different types of people, that normalize your body, that normalize different types of people, and, you know, do what you need to do to consume mindfully. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this coffee chat about mindful social media consumption. If you have questions, leave them in the comments below. And if you have another topic that you would like for me to do a coffee chat about, you can leave that in the comments below as well. As always, it really helps my channel if you like this video. It really just helps YouTube to know that it's something to share. And if you subscribe, that helps me too, because I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers before the end of the year. And so it would mean a lot if you guys join me on that journey. As always, thanks for chatting with me. See you next time. Cheers.